The lighting in here is kind of weird, but it's going to have to do for now. Alright, so, just finished watching the first two episodes of the brand new Disney Plus original series, Just Beyond. This is another children's horror anthology along the lines of Goosebumps, Haunting Hour, Creeped Out, Are You Afraid of the Dark? This one, like some of the others, has R.L. Stine's involvement with it. I saw him in the first episode credited as a co-executive producer, I believe, and more importantly, perhaps they're based on graphic novels that he wrote. I guess the same name. And yes, I watched the first two episodes, so let's give some thoughts on those. This is Halloween content, anyway. So, first episode is called Leave Them Kids Alone. It stars a girl named McKenna Grace, who I've seen in Fuller House, and she was in an Amazon Prime original movie called... I forget now. I was thinking about these Girl Scouts, and it's got Viola Davis. Yeah, I don't remember the name. Anyway, so, yeah. She's a girl who, when we meet her, she's kind of this rebellious young girl who is, like, an activist who's concerned about a whole bunch of issues like climate change she's gotten kind of the point where we're so obsessed with it. Is that she started off, apparently earlier in life, she was a kind of a more normal, ordinary person. And then one day she woke up and she was like, realized, how many problems there are in the world, and she wants to do something about it. And yeah, so she gets involved in all this stuff, and she's like trying to like start like protests and stuff in the cafeteria, and she's getting in all sorts of trouble at school. To the point where she gets suspended. Yeah, so she gets suspended, and her grades are all suffering. So she goes home, and her parents decide to send her to an all-girls boarding school. And once you get to this part of the story where she gets to the boarding school, you can kind of quickly start to see the direction this story is going. You have like all these girls there who are acting, as the main character at one point says, robotic. Yeah, and there's some kind of control. So, they're being controlled by like the people there at the school, the adults, in some way. Won't say how exactly. But you get these themes of like conformity and lack of individuality and basically these people who kind of want to take away their personality and their flair to them as a way to kind of maybe perhaps overcompensate for some misbehaving. And it's actually a pretty good episode. I wasn't sure at first because it definitely felt a little familiar. I can kind of tell where it's going. But once you figure out exactly what the adults at the school are doing, it's not like a twist or anything. You can get an idea of where it's going, but it's actually like legitimately kind of scary. Not a show I would recommend for younger kids. I would say like 10 and up at least. But it's TV PG, so make it that way you will. But it gets pretty scary, and yeah, this one it doesn't have like any twist or anything. It's mostly a serious story. But the direction it does go in, where the main character attempts to solve the problem, is actually kind of unexpected and done in a somewhat interesting way. And it's an enjoyable, interesting ending. I think all the actors are good. McKenna Grace does good. There's this one girl who was on Liv and Maddie in the last season, and she was also on No Good Nick on Netflix, and she's pretty good. You got the headmistress who was on Saturday Night Live and some other stuff. She's fine. Creepy antagonist. The episode, weirdly enough, I just saw was directed by Mark Webb, director probably most known for directing 500 Days of Summer and The Amazing Spider-Man, at least the first film, not sure about the second, and it's pretty well directed episode. It's got an interesting visual look to it. But yeah, I definitely was surprised at the genuine kind of level of like creepiness and scariness to it. So it definitely works well on that level. The second episode is called Parents Are From Mars, Kids Are From Venus. Now this one definitely is one that goes in a bit of a more comedic direction than the first one. The first one was pretty much straight-laced serious to the whole thing. This is definitely more comedic, not 100%, but more so. If you go on IMDb, they list the series as a comedy in addition to horror, and it's like, yeah, okay. This one definitely has more that. I'm curious, like, what the rest of the episodes will be like in the future. They're all released online, all 8, but I'm not gonna watch them. I don't decide to watch them all for this video. I just want to do some quick first impressions. But yeah, basically, the second episode, you have these two kids, these two best friends, both around like, I don't know, 12 or something, and they have the, the sets of parents, and their parents are friends with each other, And their parents are kind of, awkward, embarrassing. These people who kind of like try to be all cool with the kids, doing like dabs and stuff like that. And they're embarrassing, and there's some comedy that comes from that. But the kids start to suspect there's something strange going on with their parents. They end up talking to this one dude who they know who like owns some kind of store or something, some kind of weird store in town. And like the title would suggest, I don't think this is a spoiler. The guy tells them that he thinks that their parents are aliens, and the story definitely with that aspect and with the twist that comes towards the end of the episode, I would definitely say it's predictable in a lot of ways. You can tell where the main aspect of the story is going just from like the title of the episode, that it's about aliens. We even get some reference to aliens in the opening credits of the series, which also I thought that was interesting, the way that they incorporate the Disney Plus logo into the opening credits. That was kind of clever. But anyway, yeah, it actually ends up pretty well done. It is more comedic, but I think the aspect of the story that just kind of got me was the suspense, just trying to kind of see, what's going to happen to this kid. They seem to be in danger at one point, and you do get invested. You're concerned about them, and you kind of want to see where it's going to go. Like I think, like I said, this one has a twist, and the idea of what the twist was, it definitely occurred to me as I was watching the episode. I guess by watching enough of this kind of stuff, like these shows and movies, I can kind of tell where the stories are going to go. It's definitely not a show that's extremely original, but the stories that it tells so far, based on what I've seen, are done pretty well. This and both were, I'd say, overall, generally good, solid episodes. Both I'd probably give the rating like a 7 out of 10. So good. Yeah, I do enjoy the parents in the second episode. They're pretty quirky and funny, and have a certain charisma to their characters. They're fun to watch, and the kids are relatable enough. You can kind of, you can see a younger version of yourself in them a little bit, and it kind of deals with some of the certain themes of like the awkwardness of like growing up in puberty in a interesting way. Yeah, the episode, like I said, it's kind of more the story and the tone that does it for me in the second episode, less so than the humor, which, like I said, there's more of. But yeah, overall, pretty good series overall. Definitely be watching the rest of it on Disney Plus at some point. I'm a fan of these kind of horror anthology stuff, so it's definitely the kind of thing that's up my alley. If you're a fan of these two, I check it out. I actually saw it doesn't have very good ratings on IMDb right now. It's like a 5 out of 10. But I could see it going up more in the future. I think I could see it being something that develops a bit of a fan base. If you like stuff like Haunting Hour, Goosebumps, Creeped Out on Netflix, this one's done pretty well. I think, yeah, first episode succeeds at being scary, and second episode is a decent, partly comedic, partly kind of suspenseful story. Which and both kind of cover some interesting themes. Nothing too original, but done pretty well. So yeah, check it out. Probably the last Halloween video I'm going to be doing this month. So look out for that. And if I don't see you, happy Halloween.